going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Round Review. Round 7's in the books, and it was a very, very high-scoring round. Plenty of huge scores across the board for a lot of coaches. So my score sort of was probably almost about par, which is pretty funny with such a high-scoring round. But let's get stuck into the round that was. So 23.58 is what I scored, so I was pretty happy with the score. And then obviously there was heaps of people that scored well, but put me at a round rank of 5,975. So it's pretty crazy to think that nearly 6,000 people scored, well, would have been 6,000 people scored over 23.50. So huge week for a lot of people and plenty of big performers, which we'll get into. I'm ranked 8,795, which puts me just under 3,000 spots that I've risen for the week, which is pretty good. So very, very happy to continually rise. So I've cracked the top 10K for the first time this season, which has obviously been good. I've been stuck outside, so it's good to actually sort of crack in there. So I've just got it here. So 2,928 spots I moved up this week, which I'm pretty happy with. So hopefully next target is 7,500, then 5K. Then obviously we'll keep obviously moving hopefully towards top 100, which would be nice. +3, -3. I think +3's pretty easy. I think I've got to give it to Rowan Marshall. VC on Friday night. Obviously, I was on the watch along. If you were obviously with me there, we were all sort of reveling in how well Marshall was doing, and most of us had him on the VC. So I was very happy to have his VC there. But also just want to give a special mention as well to Tom Green, who I did hold for a week and pumped out 136, if you don't mind, after a 1 week hold. So I was pretty happy that I held him because he put up a monster score. So -3. There's really one obvious can that you can probably see from all the scores here, right, on field. Andrew McGrath. He's just been frustrating this year, hasn't he? I think about now, you sort of the sliding doors moments where you probably should have started Nick Dacos, and obviously when I brought Dacos in, I could have got Dawson, and then my team would be in a lot better spot. But started with him, he's been poor, another 66. So his last four especially have been really bad. So he's gone 65, 84. So the 84, okay. That was in the wet. He actually played well in that game. Then 67 and 66. So 360s in a row. 360s out of the last four. It's just not good enough. And rookies can be putting up those sort of scores. So I'll talk about him later in terms of potential trades. But he's definitely one that I could move off of because he's leaking cash and putting up rookie scores. So I'll talk about my trades after. But let's get through the rest of the team. So Nick Dacos, 99. First time this season he's gone under 100. He still looked good in the game. Copped some attention from Ben Keys, was being tagged. Copped a sort of a knock. I didn't actually see what it was, but it looked like a bit of a calf, seemed like. But he played out the game. He was fine. So I've got no issues in terms of his availability for this week unless something comes out later in the week that it was a lot worse than what it was, but he played out the game. He looked fine. So, still happy to own him. And if that's going to be his worst score for the year, then he's in for a huge year. So, we already know he's in for a big year. But, just an incredible player. Tom Stewart put up his biggest score since I've had him. So, got the ton last week, but hadn't quite got that 110, 120 score. So, 113 this week. Could have been a lot bigger. He's on 99 at three-quarter time. 113 I'll still take, but it could have been a lot bigger for non-owners. So, they're probably happy they didn't, because he didn't go up as much. So if you don't have him, I think he's still an amazing target to bring in. Got that round 13 bye, which is obviously going to be very, very handy. It's got some good matchups to come as well. So he's got, the Crows this week, who he scored 169 or 160 something last year against at this exact ground. So be interesting to see. He's got Richmond as well, who are a great matchup. And he's got some good matchups on the horizon. A lot of games you can see at GMHBA as well in the back half of the year. So you're going to want to own him. And why not own him this week, or if you haven't got him, because that bye as well, good matchup this week. He'd be one of my top targets for the week, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about him during the Trade Talk video tomorrow on Wednesday. Lockie Whitfield, 88. 1 quarter was the reason from probably me giving him my -3 and then him just being okay. So he was on 48 points at three-quarter time. It looked like he was sort of copping a bit of close attention from Ryan Clark. So considering he got to an 88, I'm not too fussed about. He was on 48 at three-quarter time. As I said, 40-point last quarter. Be good if he could put a few more quarters like that together. And I think potentially over the next 3 weeks, he might even put up some big scores. So he's actually got Western Bulldogs this week, who we know give up points to defenders, and he's got St Kilda in round 10 back at Giants Stadium. So I think these two here could be some decent scores. So as a pod that I've got, he could put up some monsters. And then the Collingwood matchup, obviously Collingwood are tough, but he's got a pretty good history against Collingwood. I know that Collingwood are a lot tougher this year, so we'll have to see how he goes, but he won't get a tag there or anything like that. But these two here could be big scores, so I'm liking him as a unique heading into the next 3 weeks because I think he could actually put up, as I said, some good scores. Will Day brought him back in this week, and he looked fantastic. He was quiet for the first sort of quarter. He still put up 20 points, but he got a couple of handballs. I sort of hardly noticed him, but from then on, he was really, really good. I think first time in his career, he had 30 disposals, so 100 points. He looks every bit a top 6 defender. And no one would be. He's like this year's, like your Will Brody's, your Sicily's. He's probably the carbon copy of George Hewitt from last year. He just playing that inside mid role, putting up really good scores. What's he averaging? 103.4. That'll put him, I think that puts him in sort of the top I think 3 defenders. I think that you've only got Dacos. Actually, we'll have a quick look, actually. So just want to quickly have a look at defenders here. So Dawson would be above him. And I think he's the 3rd best defender because I don't think Newman's averaging more than him. If we go averages here. Average, yeah. Oh, so Aaron Hall, Brody Kemp. I'm not really counting those two because they sort of, Hogs played 2 games, had 1 huge score. Kemp's played 1 game. So really it's Dawson, Dacos. So Will Day is the 3rd best defender at the moment. So pretty impressive the year that he's putting together. So if you don't have him, I think he's still a great target. He's still cheap enough at 768. He's got a break even to 64, so he's only going to be going up from here. So jump on. Already mentioned Andrew McGrath. He's definitely a guy that I'm going to look to move out potentially this week. If not, it will definitely be at latest next week. Just been a very frustrating own. Ruben Jinby, who was my loophole with Chester, obviously there to get Marshall's VC score. But yeah, Jinby, he's probably another one that can go 50 points. He didn't have as much of a managed game this week, so I could still hold. He's a guy that I may look at holding, but yeah, he is a guy that I could definitely look at moving on. So we'll have to see what happens there. Cowan didn't play. Could come back in this week. It said he was managed, but I expect that he won't come in this week. He may come in again next week if he is going to come back in, just because of how well West Coast won the weekend. Brody Kemp played well, so really who would Cowan come in for? Tim Taranto. He's probably been, again, he could have been another +3 candidate as well. I think he's almost gone a bit he's very underappreciated, I think. And I think few people are starting to sort of say that I've probably underappreciated him as well. I'm not saying that I'm not the only one that has it, but he's gone on the radar a bit of he's averaging 118. Like, it's crazy to think that how much averaging. I think he's like the 4th highest averaging player for the season. So I think you've only got Oliver, Dacos, and Tim English are the only 3 that are averaging more than him, I believe, at the moment. So he's incredible at the moment. Let me just hang on. And Sam Walsh, is averaging more than him. So yeah, he's the 4th highest averaging player behind these 4 gentlemen. He's the 5th averaging player. There we go. Got that right eventually. But yeah, he's incredible. If you don't own him, which I don't think there are many, because I think he's like nearly 70% owned. Yeah, nearly 73%. So yeah, no one's really hasn't got him. But if you don't have him, you're missing out on points each week. And he's got that 2nd game of the round or 3rd game of the round this week, the early game on Saturday. So he's a perfect VC option. So yeah, another great game, 126. Rory Laird, all the debate was he going to play? Wasn't going to play? I was really worried, obviously, having Toot last week, Laird potentially this week. I was like, please don't let my M1 and M2 be out in the same week. But thankfully he wasn't, and he played pretty well as well. 110 points, had 45 at half-time, and took 5 marks in the first quarter as well, which since he's really been a midfielder, hasn't been known for taking a lot of marks. He's been obviously known for maybe getting a couple and then getting sort of a lot of tackles and a lot of disposals. So if he's going to start adding these marks potentially to his game, if anything on the weekends to go by, wow, we could be in for a big second half of the year from Lairdy. And we're thinking 120 last year was big, but if he's putting up 5, 6, 7 marks a game, which I don't know, I think maybe on the weekend was a little bit of an anomaly. Normally he'll be about that 2 to 3 marks sort of range, but if he's taking 7 marks a game, then we're going to be in for, as I said, a big year. But we'll see. Obviously, a bit fatigued the moment apparently from what Nixie was saying, so I'm sure he'll be fine. But yeah, just something to note if you're looking at him. Geelong this week is a tough matchup, so I don't know if I'd target him this week. If you're looking for a premium midfield, I'd still bring him in. I wouldn't be too scared of the matchup because Laird can score well against anyone. But if you're looking at him, next week is the week because that's when the Crows hit a good run for fantasy scoring. So the Bont continues his, besides last week, again, having one quiet quarter. Again, did get tagged by Connor Nash, but he only had an 8 point third quarter, and I think it was from a tackle and holding the ball, and then he had one kick. So, yeah, disappointing, but I think he's still going to be a top 8 to 10 midfielder. He's got the role, so, yeah, I'm not too fussed. I'm still going to... if his 90s are his floor, then that's fine. So, happy with him. Tom Green, as we mentioned, came back with an absolute bang, 136, season high as well. I don't know if it's career high. It would be close, but I don't think it is. But look at that, 31 touches, 13 tackles, just incredible. Like he's tackling a lot more now as well. As you can see, last couple of games he's played, he got reported for a tackle. So it's good to see that he had 13 tackles in his first game back. So, and he plays pretty good time on ground as well. So he's going to be, I think he'll be a top 8 midfielder the way he's playing at the moment. I think he might have even he's probably going to overtake Josh Kelly as the number 1 midfielder for fantasy at the Giants. So Josh Dunkley, good to see him finally pop a good score for the first time in a while. That was his first ton for a couple of weeks. He got the 100 against North Melbourne, which they sort of blew him out. So you'd expect him to. Then he got the 160 against North Melbourne. So it'd be good to see him string some hundreds together instead of sort of going at this like 100, under, 100, under. So it'd be hopefully good if he can put up another good score this week. Carlton at Marvel. Not a bad matchup. I think Carlton is sort of an okay matchup, but we'll see how he goes. But Josh Dunkley, good to have him get a ton. Will Ashcroft, he's just so good. Probably kicked goal of the year as well. That goal was incredible. That sort of karate sort of kick was fantastic. 115, scored 107 points after quarter time, which was incredible. So he's going to be in our team for I think he'll be past his bye, to be honest. I know that he's got 4 weeks until his bye, so maybe we look at trading him at his bye, but he's got 4 pretty nice matchups to come as well. Hawthorn after his bye, which is pretty good. And then he's got Sydney, a bit tough, but then he's got St Kilda and Richmond and West Coast. So we could realistically be holding him until round 17 based on matchups. It just depends on his scoring. If he keeps going at 80, 90s, he's doing better. We're talking about, like, we don't want to trade McGrath, for example, like I am, because he's not a rookie, but Ashcroft's putting up better scores than McGrath, so why would I be keeping McGrath and trading Ashcroft? So Ashcroft's going to be staying for a while. Ollie Hollands again, it's similar. He's putting up these solid scores. So 2 scores in a row of 75 and 66. So I know 2 pretty easy matchups. Brisbane's a bit of a tougher matchup. He's got obviously a couple of tough ones coming up here, but be able to loop him as well if I keep him. He's a trade out potentially, because I know he's got a break even of 38, but it's not like he's going to be making another 200-300k. So he's done his job really well, and I'd be very happy with him. Alex Chincotta, I decided to go him over Johannesson last week. I decided to bank the cash, get the rookie, which turned out to be not a bad call. It only cost me 9 points, so I was pretty happy to get Chincotta. He rose a fair bit more than what Johannesson did as well. I think it's about 20k more, but he went up 63k. So negative 20 break in. If you don't have him, you've got to get on him. He's the number 1 rookie to get, and I think he's been pretty important because we've seen cash gen is quite difficult to be generating this season. So you need to get on rookies like this that are going to generate you a lot of cash. So if you haven't got him, jump on. He's already owned by nearly 41%. So yeah, if you haven't got him, jump on. He's scoring well as well. Darcy Wilmot, it's good to see him bounce back after his 22. I know the traders said as well, maybe Zorko going out maybe helps Wilmot as well for the short term. Good thing is he plays Friday night, so I'll be able to loop him and Hollands on the bench, and sort of I'll mention that as well in terms of my trades, but that will be in my thinking. Matt Johnson played well, 63, disappointing. He got suspended, unfortunately did that tackle. It would have been good if he didn't, because I think he would have held his spot. 2 weeks on the sidelines. He played well enough that I think he should come back into the side, but whether he does is another question. 2 weeks is a long time in the footy world. We don't know if he will come straight back in, so I hope he does. He's got a 0 break even. I think when he does come back, I think he's a good trade in as a rookie. Just make sure that he does come in. But he was good this week, and he showed signs last week. So Rowan Marshall, 159, just incredible. Obviously, all the talk is about English, but he is averaging 112. He is averaging 112.6, rising up quickly in price. So if you don't have him, there are over 50% of the comp that don't have him. If you don't, you got to jump on, because him and English are clearly the 2 best rucks. I wish I started English as well, but I'm happy I had Marshall and happy on the VC. So very, very good score from him. Sean Darcy has been doing the job for me. I know that obviously English is averaging 120, but Sean Darcy's averaging 101, so I'm not in any great hurry to be getting rid of Sean Darcy. He's got 3 pretty nice matchups to come as well. Hawthorn, Sydney and Geelong, who potentially could all be without their number 1 rucks in these sort of 3 games. Hawthorn obviously will have their number 1 ruck in Ned Reeves, but I still think it's a pretty good matchup for Sean Darcy. So you can put up some decent scores and keep up with English and Marshall. So I'm in no great hurry to be doing the Darcy to English move, but I will do that at some point throughout the year. Obviously, Heath didn't play. Rosie got the tag from Seb Ross, so 84 was obviously disappointing, but he did play well enough during the game to sort of keep his score ticking over at an okay rate. So 84 I'll take. He's still got some pretty good matchups on the horizon over the next 5 weeks, so I'm pretty keen to see what he can do in these next 5 weeks and put up hopefully some big scores. If you don't have him, I still think he's a good target. He's at 836, so he's at a bit more of an expensive price, but I would still look at him. I don't know why when I click on a player it does that, when it goes all the way down the bottom. I really don't understand, so yeah. Errol Goulden, 116, he played really well. I think he was quiet in the first quarter. I think he only had about 10 points or whatever, but he had a big sort of last 3 quarters, especially in the second half where he went really big. So, yeah, just good for his high score for the season. Still a good own. People have been a bit worried about him, but his 2 bad scores. Melbourne, they lost pretty heavily, and Geelong, sort of same thing. So take out those 2 scores, he hasn't gone below 90, which is it's showing he's improved his floor from what it was last year. He's getting more CBAs, which is good to see as well. So it's been a good own for Goulden besides those couple of weeks. But 70s as well, they're not the end of the world. Harry Sheasel, we were all sort of worried last week about is he done? Do we have to get rid of him? He's shown that he's going to probably keep doing this, or at least for another few weeks at worst. So another 126 points. Sorry, still got a bit of a sniffles with the cold. He just another 126. That's with Aaron Holt and Z win the side. So yeah, I'm sort of not worried with him. Again, I'm not counting him as a rookie. People are saying, oh, you've got like Sheasel, Chandler, Pedler, Holland, Shinkoda, Ashcroft. Like I'm not counting, and Jidby. I'm not counting Sheasel as a rookie. Because he's averaging 106. Like he's at the moment he's a keeper. Like, why would you trade out a guy averaging 106? Like even averaging 90, why would you trade him out? Because averaging 90 as a forward, that's like luxury upgrades you're talking about. So he's doing well and above what any of us would have anticipated. And same with Ashcroft as well. It's a bit different because he's a midfielder averaging 82 essentially. You could get people averaging 105 plus, whereas forward you're not going to get that many that are going to average over 90. So Sheasel's going to be in our teams probably for the rest of the year. Jack Siebel, 88 points, had a good second half as well to get to that. 23 points, went off injured, came back on, had a big second half. So very, very happy that he got to an 88 in the end, even though it could have been bigger if he had put 2 halves together. But St Kilda this week, so him and Sheasel could go huge this week because we know St Kilda give up points to defenders. And Aaron Hall could also get big this week. All 3 could go 110 plus this week. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Cade Chandler, 106. I was so happy to get a ton from Chandler. I missed out on the round 1 ton. I was just happy that he did it. And a few people got rid of him as well, so it was good sort of that he was able to keep his cash gen going. He's got another 2 great games to come in Gold Coast and Hawthorn. Break even to 31. He's still got cash to make, so I'm not moving him for the next fortnight at least. And we'll see how he goes. If he puts up another couple of 80s or something like that, then he's not going to be a trade out for a while. But if he maybe puts up some 60s, then as soon as sort of I think he's got... Does he have... Is it maybe a Geelong after the 2 easy games? No, Port Adelaide. So that's obviously a tougher game. If he puts up 260s, he could go in round 10. But at the moment, you're not moving him. He's looking really good. And a bit the same with Luke Pedler. 75. He just keeps getting the job done again. Putting up some solid scores. So he's gone 67, 75 his last 2. And that was from low game time as well. So if that was higher, that would have been pretty similar to this score, if not better. So Geelong is a bit of a concern this week. I'd prefer to put him on the bench, but I think he'll still keep scoring well. He's still got cash to make, break even to 28, so he's staying in my side for the short term anyway. Philippou, 31, again, he is one that could potentially go. He's got a pretty, 52. It's higher than his average now, so this is normally a good time when these guys have got to go. But the trouble with him is you probably want to be going him up to someone, because if you're going down, if you've already got Chincotta, who are you going to? Like, Ryan Angwin is not a bad player, but is he got good job security? Like, at least Philippou's going to be playing through the buys, you'd think. He might get a rest at some point, but yeah, so if you can keep him, and you can make your upgrades elsewhere. I don't think it's actually a bad option, just because the buys are, what are we now? We're heading into round 8, so we've got round 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got 4 weeks before the buys. So we've got to be thinking about this now, that we've got to be keeping these guys that are going to be green dots. But then again, at the same time, you've got to be upgrading your team. So if Philippu's the way that you can get him down and maybe Jinby up to someone better on field, then that's probably what you've got to do. But it is just unfortunate because we got a few red dots. So I'm starting to add them up as well. Like, Cowan may not come back in. Johnson's out for 2 weeks, and who knows if he comes back in. Obviously, Heath's not playing. Owen Davey, I think he might come back in, but if he doesn't, like Van Ruin, is he going to stay in the side? So we are getting to a bit of an issue where on our benches we may not have some of these guys playing long term. So we'll have to see. But obviously there, Van Ruin 40, a bit quiet in a big win for Melbourne, but I think he'll still stay in the side for at least another week. He played really well last week in the last quarter, so I think that bought him an extra couple of weeks. So that was it. So pretty good week. As I said, pretty happy with most of my players there. In terms of my trades, what I'm looking at doing this week, so there's sort of 3 guys that are on the chopping block for me this week. So Ruben Jinby's 1, Andrew McGrath's 2, Ollie Hollands is 3, actually 4. Ollie Hollands 3, and Matthias Philippou is 4. So at this current moment, because I've got 425k in the bank. Obviously, with banking cash last week, doing Toot down a day, Mackenzie down to Chincotta. I'm looking at doing Jinby up to Fiorini, so I'll just be swapping, I think, Sheasel back into my defence, and then swapping, I think, a Dunkley into my forward line and bringing in Fiorini, which would be good. Fiorini was good on the weekend, 112, didn't have the role, but because I'm going Jinby up to Fiorini, I'm looking at it as there's not much downside to what I'm doing. Fiorini's going to be making cash. At worst, he'll still probably put up 70s. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, you could put up an average of 100 for the next sort of month or so, make good cash, then move him on maybe after his buy and bring in around 12 player potentially. But yeah, that's the first trade. Second trade, that's up in the air. I'm torn if I go a Philippou. I'll probably keep Hollands because I can do the same move between two. But do I go maybe Philippou up to a Butters, bench Hollands, which gets 2 rookies off field this week? So that's what I'm leaning to at the moment. But at the same time, McGrath has been... Oh, I don't know why that did that there, but there you go. Then my other trade will be going... Oh, now I've lost my train of thought because of that stupid computer. Sorry, Philippou up to Butters, or going a McGrath, so people would just see what my trades would have done there. I think I've just got Butters at the moment. Yeah, so my other move is keeping Philippou and going a Andrew McGrath up to a big premium, whether that be Jordan Dawson, because I like his run coming up. He's got Saints next week, could be big there. Jack Steele has come down in price. He's a good price, so I'm looking at him potentially. Sam Walsh, if I want to be a little bit more expensive, I'd prefer probably Dawson and Steele just because they are that bit cheaper. So those two are on my radar there. Petrarca's sort of the smoky pick that I've looked at. Got some good matchups. Played a bit forward on the weekend as well. So if that continues, he could get forward stats, which could put me a leg up because I've got him. I won't have to pay up for Petrarca. So a few options I've got this week, but at the moment, Butters sits in the team. So there you go. And you'll see, obviously, my captain VC there. So anyway, if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think we're 32 away from 1,000. So if you can help me reach that, it'd be very much appreciated. Bottom right-hand corner. All the support is always appreciated. Turn notifications on so you don't miss when I go live or upload any other content in the future. Social media links in the description below. And let me know in the comments below how you went this week. +3s, -3s. Trade questions, leave all those in the comments below and I'll answer those when I get to them. So appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. So I'm out. Cheers.